Okay, you're good there? You okay? Okay, no problem. Who do you want to say something? Please.
Okay, so first I just want to thank Shlomo for agreeing to give the shir, and to Shlomo and Bina for opening up their house. A lot of people did not make it that wanted to be here. There's another important event for high schools and all that, so I think we were going to record this year, but I asked for Shlomo to give the shir specifically for a good friend of ours who's sick, Daniela, Brachah, and just an idea that has been coming up in my mind as I've been thinking about her situation as we're reading Sefer Bereshis. I just thought it would be appropriate to share. Is one of the central themes, I think, in all of Sefer Bereshis is a lot of like real life family challenges. Oh boy, not very real. It's real life family challenges. It starts out with the first set of brothers that obviously doesn't end up great. Then there's a lot of obviously barren mothers that have to struggle to get what they're looking for. Brothers then being bad influences, brothers not getting along, etc. But I think the common answer is that what we see is that pretty much we storm the heavens and daven, and that's the only way we get the Yeshua from, and that's the only place that we see it. That's how they turn, and we know from Sefer Bereshis, we learned the Ramban says, and so the only way, when you're going up against something that seems insurmountable, the only way that we can react, I think, as Jews and as Israel, this is what we're learning in Sefer Bereshis, is to take it to the next level of tefla and really just drill down and daven. And davening really is essentially emunah, and it's the belief that we can change something that sometimes al pi teva looks really difficult, or something that's really challenging right in front of us, and tefillah allows us. And tefillah is the only way we can do it, and we have to have the emunah. That's how we are able to get up and daven and continue to daven. So I think that's the major lesson. And living in Eretz Yisrael, right, throughout Rosh Hashanah we daven for hashgacha pratis as opposed to hashgacha tefla. Right? The goyim get hashgacha tefla. God sort of sets them up for Rosh Hashanah for the year, and let's go. The Jewish nation has hashgacha pratis. God intercedes on every little detail of their lives, and that can change based on our actions and zechuyot. And the Rambam says, people, even if they're not zocheh, the Jews that are living, that are ben Eretz Yisrael, they're zocheh to such things. So Baruch Hashem, our friend Daniela and Jamie had made Aliyah, and our bnei Eretz Yisrael, and all of us here. So we should take this opportunity to be mechazik ourselves and tefillah, and always have in mind. Whether you know Daniela or not, but to do small maisa in her zechus for refuah. We have 4 different brachas. I brought just a modest little thing. And even if you're not going to eat tonight, I encourage you just to make a bracha. There's 4 different brachas there. Like I said, stuff is something for Daniela brachas Halevavot Pgi'a.
Amen. Amen. A big yeshua that this is how we didn't respond to Eitzah, and I'm very, very unfortunately thankful that you asked me that we should do this. You'll also hopefully revamp our Monday night learning. But like you would have said, every word tonight is for the refuah shlema of this very, very special neshama, a mother of four, right? 4 special neshamas, and never underestimate the power of tefillah. Also, it's very special for us tonight to host a shir in our home, and it's our anniversary tonight. Our, Hashem, 11 years of Hayinu Kechon. So in the schus of that also, Psach Sherish Mamlis Vilaseino. Like you would have mentioned before, Manisha. What's we think that we have things under control? You don't think we need tefillah then? Of course we need tefillah then. These are the Shabbatot of davening. A few weeks ago, 3 weeks ago, it was the Shabbos of Shachris. We spoke about it in Shul. Last Shabbos was the Shabbos, not this one, the one before was the Shabbos of Mincha. But even in between the Parshiyos, it's like Yitzchak and Rivka davening their hearts out this last Shabbos and Todos. And this Shabbos, obviously, we have Yaakov Avinu bringing down to the world the tefillah of Ma'ariv. So this is like an opportunity for us to connect to the amkus of tefillah. And that's what I wanted to do. I wanted to speak about Ma'ariv. I wanted to speak about the tefillah of Ma'ariv, because it's connected very much to the reason that we got together tonight to learn specifically tonight. And in order to understand this, understand what we're going to be learning tonight, it could have been, when these parashas, like where do you start, where do you stop with this tefillah of Yaakov Avinu, the beginning of our parsha? It's very hard to know. So I just hope and pray that Bezrat Hashem, I chose something, what I believe is something just very concrete. Part of this we learned a few years ago, mamish, on the top of that mountain in Breslov, right next to Reb Nassan's kever. It's a learning of Reb Nassan on this concept of tefillah of Ma'ariv. So the question really is that we're going to be discussing is Ma'ariv reshut or chova? Is Ma'ariv obligatory or is it not obligatory? Is it a reshut or chova? So we see something very interesting when we look at the sages, because Ma'ariv, we know there's two different opinions in the Gemara, but the Rambam holds in the beginning, and we learned this last year also in Shul. Ma'ariv seems to be reshut. It does not seem to be obligatory. And we learned it out in such a way that basically, Ma'ariv became, it's an amazing thing. Ma'ariv became a chiyuv, but it really didn't start off like a chiyuv. You have one? Hi guys. Ma'ariv starts off as something like the Rambam says. It's not a chiyuv, but it becomes a chiyuv. And we learned last year that somehow, and this is what I wanted to talk about tonight, through us taking upon ourselves Ma'ariv, it became a chiyuv. But really, in the beginning, it wasn't a chiyuv to anybody. But I think we learned this together. Actually, this whole inyan. I remember one morning we learned together. Somehow, there's a kedusha coming out of what Yaakov Avinu does in the beginning of our parsha that kind of says to us, even though it's not a chiyuv, you can't live without it. So the question is, what can't we live without? What does Ma'ariv come to teach us that we can't live without, whether we realize it or not? I don't know how much we're going to get to tonight, but there's some very special words here that I wanted to learn with everyone. So if you take one and pass it down, it's both sides and everything tonight. We're learning lirfua Daniela bracha Zahava bat Pgi'a there. Anyone that's ever learned Rav Pinkus, so knows Rav Pinkus is one of the most fundamental swarm of Rav Pinkus is She'arim b'tefillah. We couldn't remember the name of that sefer a few weeks ago. Right? It was She'arim b'tefillah. Where Rav Pinkus Zatzal explains all the different type leshonot of tefillah that we have in the Torah. For instance, last Shabbos, what was a very strong lashon that we found last Shabbat? Vayetse. Vayetar, the language that Yitzchak Avinu and Rivka, they were using Vayetar. Obviously, what's the lashon that we meet this Shabbos that plays that's going to play the role of tonight's shir? Vayifg'a b'makom. So let's learn a little bit the puzzle. Let's learn Rashi just to get ourselves reacquainted with this whole story that we have in the beginning of this parsha. Vayifg'a b'makom vayalen sham ki ba'ashemesh. So Rashi says, "Vayifg'a kmo upag'a biiricho." ופגע is it דבשת or דבשת? I think דבשת. He brings דוגמאות from Sefer Yehושע, similar דוגמאות, but what does it mean ויפגע? ויפגע in modern Hebrew means you come in contact with. So actually, Rav Soloveitchik said beautifully, ויפגע over here is basically davening is having a rendezvous with Hashem. That was Rav Soloveitchik's lesson. Having a rendezvous is like
Anniversary.
What? Baruch shekivanti. Thank you. You saved me, brother. ורבותינו פירשו לשון תפילה. And Chazal said, oh, this לשון of ויפגע, this second is coming in contact with, is לשון תפילה, כמו ואל תפגע בי. ולמדנו שתקן תפילת ערבית. And we learn from this, the Yaakov Avinu establishes מערב. ושינה כתוב, ולא כתב ויתפלל. And what's interesting here, son, perfect. שינה כתוב, ולא כתב ויתפלל. And this will hopefully get to at the end of the shiur. Why didn't it just say ויתפלל? ולמדך שקפצה לו הארץ. Yaakov Avinu had קפיצת הדרך, קפיצת הארץ. כמו שמפורש בפרק גיד הנשה, there's a Gemara both in Sanhedrin and in Chulin, which discusses 3 people that had kfitzat haderech, and Yaakov Avinu was one of them. Now let me stop and ask you just out there, when do you think Yaakov Avinu had kfitzat haderech? And what part of his masah did he have kfitzat haderech? Starts off where? In the beginning of the parsha? Where is he coming from? Beersheva. Where is he going to? Haran. Where does he end up in the middle? Beit El. What ends up happening? He says, "Oh my God, I passed by Hara Moriah, במקום, and I didn't. How could it be that I didn't go and daven there?" The second he has that ratzon to go and daven, what happens? That's the kfitzat haderech. Chazal say that he jumped back instantly when he had this hitorerut to be connected to the Beit Hamikdash. He had kfitzat haderech. It's not the way it's usually learned out, but I had a whole shiur from my Rosh Yeshiva, Rav Bravender, who explained that the kfitzat haderech happens when a yid is passionate about connecting to the Geula. He has kfitzat haderech instantly. Where do we learn this from? Yaakov Avinu's. Ech yachol liot that I passed by this place and I didn't daven there. The second he had that thought, he comes back immediately. There's a kfitzat haderech. So I saw this Achron. I never heard of him before. Maybe if anyone here has, please tell me. Reb Shimshon Rosenberg, who said this Torah in the name of his Rebbe, Reb Meir Eisenstatter. Anyone with the name Eisenstatter knows that you're probably connected to the place of Eisenstadt. And what's also interesting is that today was also the yahrzeit of someone who I was very close to. It was Itzakel's yahrzeit. Itzak Eisenstadt. Those who remember Itzakel he was Reb Shlomo's best friend for many, many years. He himself was a Mojitzer Chassid. We were very, very close to him. And he passed away. It's probably like 9 years, much better, 8-9 years. I was very close to him. He was close to my father, maybe before I was born. Anyway, it's town of Eisenstadt. We're talking about like 18th century Hungary. This Reb Meir Eisenstatter was a Talmud of the Chatam Sofer. He learned by the Chatam Sofer in Pressburg. He was also a Talmud of the Ketav Sofer, the son of the Chatam Sofer. And listen to this teaching. Listen to how he understands the word ויפגע. ויפגע במקום, רבותינו פירשו לשון פגי'a is a language of davening. ויש לדקדק, דאם כן, מדוע לא נאמר ויתפלל? If it's talking about davening, why did the Torah just say ויתפלל במקום? Why ויפגע במקום? אומנם יש לומר, והנה ההפרש בין לשון תפילה ללשון פגי'a, הוא דלשון תפילה. What's the difference between tefillah and pgi'a? He says, tefillah romez al mishu sheshoel mechavero davar, aval eno maftzir bo me'od. It's someone that asks his friend of something, but he doesn't maftzir. Maftzir, the literal translation is to implore, but what it really means is you're being an akshan, right? You're being, you say an akshan? A nodnik, and stubborn, like you're at maftzir bo, right? You're demanding of it. I ask, the answer is no, it's no. But when he sees that his request is not being granted, he drops it. נקרא מישהו ששואל מחברו דבר, וכשרואה שאינו ממלא בקשתו, אזי מפצירו מאוד. But this pgi'a, this language of pgi'a, is when someone asks something from his friend, and when he sees that his friend is not granting him his request, מפצירו מאוד, he doesn't let him off the hook. כי פגיעה מכונה מי שמרבה בתפילה ובבקשה. Basically, the Ishbitz and Rabbi Eger say this lashon as well. They say literally, ויפגע במקום means Hashem. You're grabbing. It's a moment of Yeharu Gubalia. Like I need this, and I'm not going to move here because until my wish is granted. Because I believe that Hashem, you want me to be a nudnik about this. Okay, imagine that level of tefillah. Hashem Yisbarach, I believe you want me to be a nudnik about this. That even if you say no in the beginning, whatever I'm asking for, Pgi'a means inside of me, I'm not stopping. But really, the Ishbitzer would say, in a deeper level, why am I not stopping? Because I have emunah that you don't want me to stop asking for what I'm asking. That's very different of being a nudnik, of someone that says, I'm going to be a nudnik because I don't care. And I'm going to keep on asking for this because that's just who I am, an action. We're talking about Pgi'a is something much deeper. I'm grabbing onto you, Hashem. Why? Because I know I can't live without what I'm asking for, but I believe that you want me to keep on asking. I believe that even though it says Kadosh Baruch Hu nis'ava letfilasan shel tzadikim, that God desires and lusts the tefillah of tzadikim, maybe right now I'm a tzadik, because I know Hashem, you're lust, this is a tefillah you want. So the question is, what was the tefillah of Yaakov Avinu? If it's vayifg'a b'makom. And what is marv, basically, right? You understand the question. If we're saying that vayifg'a means this level of davening of I must do this. And I believe Hashem, you want me to cry for this. You want me to beg of this. So the question is, what is the tefillah of Yaakov Avinu? So on the pshat, what's the tefillah of Yaakov Avinu? Like just you'll be with me on my journey. Right? And then what am I going to do if you're going to be with me on my journey? What does he say? Meiser. And one more thing, I'm going to come home. B'shafti b'shalom beit avi. That's a shaila if that's part of the tefillah or if that's part of the guarantor. Right? B'shafti b'shalom beit avi. It's a very deep sugya. Does that mean, please, you have to make sure I end up coming home b'shalom, or if you're with me, Hashem, I won't forget you. Either way, that's not for now. That's a whole other shir. But
first kind is a tefillah, not a pgi'a.
The first kind is a tefillah, right? And the second one can be more a pgi'a. Nachon me'od. So
is Beit Avi Yitzchak's home, or is it Hashem? Like who's the Av?
V'shavti b'shalom Beit Avi. Yitzchak's still alive. Yitzchak's still alive. He's referring to Beit Abba.
Well, I'm not saying dying. I'm saying, is he saying that I'll come back to Hashem's home? Maybe to Har HaBayit or...
Yeah. Well, especially after he meets Har HaBayit, Har HaMoriah. Very good. I'm sure it means both. But let's look at something. I don't want to, it's already, it's for those of us young parents or old parents, 8:30 is like 1 a.m, right? So it's very late at night, right? I'm not going to break our heads with Rav Kook Hebrew right now, but I did want to see something from Rav Kook that was so beautiful, and Baruch Hashem, I found the translation for it. So look, again, I want to put the question out there. What is the Pgi'a that Yaakov brings down to the world? Okay, that's the question. What is this Vayivga? What are we speaking about? What can't I let go of? Look how Rav Kook brings this down. Pgi'a is an element of prayer that can elevate one to a special level of, or close to the level of prophecy. Rav Kook says, Pgi'a can bring a person to a level or something that's close to nevu'ah. They encounter pog'im, higher levels than are natural. It's weird. That's okay. You guys are pog'im echad b'sheni. They encounter higher levels than are natural and cling to Hashem with their pure heart. And the time that is suitable for such an experience is nighttime. As the author of Chovot Halevavot says, that prayer at night has special impact. Truly special people might also receive, specifically before during or after sleep, special types of revelations, even if short of prophecy, that one cannot get through the physical world. These types of events are best captured by the term Pgi'a, as they unexpectedly come upon a person in a manner that's beyond natural. I'm sure it should be nature. Indeed, regarding Yaakov, his most profound prophecy with the image of the angels on the ladder took place immediately after the prayer that was described as Pgi'a. And the prayer apparently helped prepare him for that lofty experience. So what is Rav Kook saying over here? What essentially is the hachana for such a high Pgi'a prepares a person for the utmost high. A person's experience in this world, if he touches on prophecy or even close to prophecy, remember Rav Kook's top student, the Rav Nazir Rav Kharlap, who wrote the whole thing about the Nevuah? Whole book about prophecy. Do you remember, does it? I think it was the Rav Nazir. The whole thing about prophecy, like it's time for the call of Nevuah to come back into the world. So he says over here that this lashon of Pgi'a is this kind of davening that can bring someone to such a lifgoa and elevate him in such a high place close to Nevuah. So we have just explained that the prayer at night is designed to help unusually spiritual people attain unnaturally high levels that enable them to experience revelations that approach prophecy. Therefore, it's reasonable that there should be some question as to whether there's an obligation for one to take steps that can take him well beyond the normal expectations for a good Jew. You see what Rav Kook did over here? What is he addressing?
Sure.
Is Mariv Rishut or Chova? How can, if Mariv is Lashon Pgi'a, and Pgi'a is this place of prophecy, can you really say that there could be a chiyuv on a Jew to attach himself to a world of prophecy? He's saying that may be why Chazal did not institute Mariv as a chiyuv, but rather as a reshut, because it's not something that you can mechayev someone. You understand what he's saying? Not so much?
You can say to someone, go have Nevuah right now.
Right.
It also says for unusually spiritual.
Yeah, exactly.
Right. Do you fall under that category? Well, I don't know. Right. So if this, we would love to all say yes, but if we're going to be real, we can't say this is a chiyuv that's chal on everyone. Right? Although Rav Kook would believe, I think that he would believe that in the heart of every year there's the potential to be in this place. That's for sure. If anyone believed in Jews, that they could be there, it's Rav Kook. Mamash had the emunah in every single Jew. But even so, on the level of chiyuv, to make someone obligated to attach himself to be considered part of the klal of unnaturally spiritual people, it's a kasher. That's a very hard thing to do.
It also seems like he's saying that people are going beyond what's normally expected of them, not necessarily the experience that they're going to have afterwards.
Nachon.
But it's also like they're taking like a chumrah by doing this.
Nachon,
You know.
Nachon. Perhaps this is applicable only for those who volunteer to reach such levels and have the capabilities of perhaps succeeding at it. It can thus be a suggested option for those who are suited for it. And through those people, others who attach themselves to holiness will benefit indirectly as well. But Rav Kook is saying that is not a direct benefit. You can't say, you understand what he's saying? I mean, it's very, very special what he's saying. He's saying you cannot say this will happen, it's a direct impact, and everyone falls under this category. So Rav Kook is shedding light on two things. One, what this language of Pgi'a is, and he's saying this brings us close to Nevuah. And by explaining to us how he understands Pgi'a, we also understand why Chazal could not institute Mariv as a chiyuv. L'chatchila. Again, Mariv became a chiyuv because we realized that we couldn't live without it. That's how the Rambam teaches out the mitzvah of Tfilat Ma'ariv. So let me ask you a question. What do you think we came to terms to understanding what we couldn't live without? What is it we discovered that we realized we can't live without Mariv, and we took it upon ourselves? The Rambam says, once we all took it upon ourselves, it became a chova. What do you think, based on Rav Kook's words, we tasted as we took upon ourselves Mariv?
It was like just in case we could get to that place.
Right, I'm holding on to the zchut. I'm holding on to the rights to if it's available for me, I want to make sure that
The space.
I'm holding that space. Nachon. If what's available for me.
How high you could get from davening Mara.
Prophecy.
Prophecy.
Right. Or something to that tune, right? So again, the question is, what is it that transpired within us over the years through the tefillah of Mariv? What did Yaakov Avinu prepare for us? What did he see for us that he knew that we're going to need this tefillah? We're going to mamash need this tefillah. Now this is where the next piece comes in. I know we're rushing with material because this is, if there's someone that gives us so much koach to hold on, no matter what, Rabbi Nosson of Breslov. Rabbi Natan Steinhardt, that was Rabbi Nachman's top disciple, who was from the town of Nemirov, and then, which is all in the region in Ukraine where we do our traveling. And Rabbi Nosson, who was, I think he was 8 years younger than Rabbi Nachman, and he only had 8 years with Rabbi Nachman. He's the one who kind of makes Rabbi Nachman accessible to anyone. Not that I shouldn't say to anyone. We know people like Chaim Kramer, who has Rabbi Nachman direct, but I'm sure he would say also, just because Rabbi Nachman said, if it wasn't for my Nosson, no one would have any idea who I am. No one would know me. No one would know anything about me. And he's a very, very, very beautiful, heartbreaking figure who suffered tremendously in his life. So when he speaks about stuff like he's about to speak about right now, you know he's not speaking theory. He's speaking about what he's going through in the moment. And that's what makes him so approachable. When you see Rebbeim, when you see Rebbeim that speak about, I think it was Arista. I just saw this somewhere. Arista. He was called out on something where he was the king of moral ethics and everything, and he was shown that someone saw him that he was eating like a behemoth or something, while he was speaking always about mannerisms and being a mensch, v'chulei. So they said to him, "How could it? You see, you're fooling yourself. How could it be? You're the one that's preaching how to be a mensch and mannerisms, v'chulei. And look at you. You look at the slab." He says, "Let me ask you something. The person that's teaching geometry, does he become a Keren Zavit?"
Isosceles triangle.
Right? So that's the difference between us and hopefully a lot of people. Hopefully that's lost art. But by us, especially with Rabbi Nosson, he was that triangle, meaning he mamash was what he preached, and that's when you can sense it. He's not speaking about something; he's telling you what he's going through right now, and he's telling us that the Torah told us what Yaakov Avinu was going through because it was happening to Yaakov Avinu too. What was happening to Yaakov Avinu? This is from the Sefer Likutei Halachot from Reb Natan of Breslov. Vayipg'a b'makom, this language of Pgi'a, he says Pgi'a means tfilat arvit reshut. Again, we're going back to this discussion, if Mariv is reshut or chova. He says the language itself of Vayipg'a is alluding to Mariv being a tefillah of reshut, a non-obligatory davening. Why? Ki tfilat arvit, sorry about this typo, hima shetiken Yaakov Avinu lehitchazek batfilah afilu mitoch hachoshech. Yaakov, Mariv resembles, it portrays the world of when I don't feel like davening. Why? Because I'm in darkness. It's not something that I feel, right now would be a great time to start talking to God. It's dafka the time where I don't feel bichlal a cheshek to talk to you, Rebbeinu Shalom. And that's why obviously the inyan of being at night, the choshech. And he explains the choshech, not just physical choshech, but he's talking about spiritual darkness as well. Shehu betokef merirat hagalut baguf vanefesh. We're speaking about when a person's body and soul is living in a state of exile. Now you would think the opposite. You would think that dafka when I'm so far, I would feel like I need to cry out to you, Hashem. That's easy to say and think like that when things are going peachy. It's lahefech though, when you're actually in the mud and when you're in the darkness, it's like, it's like when you're happy and you're feeling love, you have friends. And you have friends you can count on. But when you need them, and it really, really hurts, it takes so much, what Rav Kook calls ometz halev, being brave, courageousness of the heart, to actually access those things that you have. Why? Because choshech, both physical and spiritual, distance us from people. They distance us from entities. They distance us from seeking help. Rav Kook says the time of night resembles the world where merirat aguf v'hanefesh, the galut of the guf and the nefesh. When my body and my soul are in galut, it's not in its natural place, it's exiled. I won't call on that which I'm closest to, for whatever the reason is. Sometimes with friends that I find that we're going through really hard times, what do they say to us when they find that we're going through hard times and we didn't reach out to them? I can't believe you didn't reach out to me. Meanwhile, when you're stuck in your rag, you can't imagine talking to anybody. That's the galus hanefesh, the talking weird galut aguf v'hanefesh. But when you're able to do that, and when you're able dafka in the choshech to call out to Hashem, like, listen, this is a very heavy inyan. Why we're here tonight. This is a very, very serious matzav that we're davening right now for. Mamash, a very precious neshama that what it looks like al pi our limited perspective, right? Because it's what we have to work with in the world, is this inyan of choshech coming into the world. But dafka, like Yehuda was saying before, how do I attach myself to really being a yid in these times? I go beyond my nature. And what do I go to? The world of tefillah. That's Ma'ariv, that's the night. She'al yidei zeh, he says, Ikar binyan bayit ashlishi. She'anu mekavim she'yeh nivneh b'zchut Yaakov. Beis HaMikdash, what we're longing for, the geula that we're longing for, comes from the ability of a Jew to cry out to Hashem when it makes least amount of sense. When you're stuck in choshech, and dafka then choosing to call out, that's third Beis HaMikdash energy. Ve'al ken tfilat arvit reshut. Therefore, davening Ma'ariv is reshut. Why? Ma kesher? Does he explain it yet? What do you think? Did he give an explanation yet? Maybe he's saying we had a first Beis HaMikdash, it existed. We had a second Beis HaMikdash, it existed. The third Beit HaMikdash that didn't come down yet is keneged the tefillah that kivyachol also didn't fully come down yet. So it's not chovah, it's reshut. You see what he's saying? Yeah?
Not so.
Does anyone understand what he just said here? It's one way of understanding what Ibn is saying. He's saying we have Shacharis with what? What's Shacharis? Avram. Avram is first Beis HaMikdash. We have Mincha, Yitzchak, second Beis HaMikdash. These are entities, these are things that happened. There's a mitziyut to it. It already happened in the world. This third thing that it's connected, the third Beit HaMikdash, Yaakov, Ma'ariv, this thing didn't fully happen yet in the world. It didn't take place. So it's hard to make something that didn't take place obligatory when it didn't even come out and come out, manifest itself and come into fruition. Is that a little bit clearer? That's one way of understanding why it's reshut.
So wouldn't that make you want to daven harder to make it happen?
Yes, and that's how we made it a chovah. You just went to the end of Shir. Thank you. Bye. Did you hear what she said? That, in a nutshell, is exactly how we want to learn out how Ma'ariv became a chiyuv. Wouldn't you want to make it a chiyuv?
Another perspective too, just from the little bit that I've learned from Rabbi Nachman's teaching, or maybe it was Rabbi Natan, is that he's always looking for the positive, always looking for the good points, and always believing in the dawn that it's gonna arise, it's gonna come, there's gonna be light. So we should have complete amuna that the third Beit HaMikdash, that it's around the corner. So it's there, we just can't maybe see it yet. So it's a chovah also. So it's not like, yes, we desire it, but we know it's there. It's like there. Of course we have to daven this. It's there. We might not have seen it in a physical way, but we know that it's there.
Which would bring us to connect to what you said. If I know it's there, even though it's not the way the first two were there, I'm gonna connect myself to that place and take it upon myself to be there with it. That's making Ma'ariv into a chovah. So we're still not there yet. It hasn't come down yet. Sorry. We're in the fourth line from the top. אם כן, כשזאת התפילה של הערבית היא רשות. It's hard that this is reshut. אם כן, מה תיקן יעקב אבינו? Like, תיקן means that he established something. So Rav Nassan is saying, so if Mariv is reshut, what did he establish? Understand? It's like someone, it's like a new king coming to the world, and he has his first decree. What's his first decree? If you like this, if you want to, you can do this. That's a decree. That's an establishment of something. Matikanta. What did you bring into the world? So Rav Nassan is saying, wait a second. Tiken or lo tiken? Did he or not? Is the reason why maybe Mariv is reshut, that maybe you could think it's usher to daven at night for some reason? Like, why wasn't it established as a chovah? So I just want to jump to the end already because you already did. But think about it like this for a second. If we're saying that Mariv is really Geula, is really third base on Mikdash, right? Can you imagine if we had a chiyuv to ask Hashem for the redemption, how shallow it would be? Can you imagine that? It's like, there's a lot of things the Torah doesn't say to us to do, doesn't tell us to do. But obviously the Torah wants us to do it. We've seen this in other mitzvahs as well. It's because if the Torah has to go out of its way to tell us, oh, and by the way, you have to do this, it would be so shallow. So there's almost like this quiet understanding between us and God. It's like, of course you don't want to tell me to do this because you want me to know that I should be wanting this and doing this without you even commanding me. Like if the Torah had to, it would be so sad if the Torah had to tell every couple, love your children. Right? That would be sad. Amen. It'll be a little bit sad, no?
It's like whether a kid says, please, can I have this? Or the mother says, did you say please?
What do you mean? Now I'm lost.
Huh?
Now I'm lost. What do you mean?
That if you say please without the parent telling you.
Yeah. Right. And then the
please.
kid says, yeah, okay, please. Right.
No, please, can I have it?
Right.
It comes from the
Right.
love. And
Right.
just, did you say please? Did you say thank you?
So that's one way of understanding is that Hashem Yisbarach, thank you so much that you didn't institute lechatchila that I'm chayav to want the geula. This is something that needs to come from me. It needs to come from my ratzon, how badly I want it. And you know what amazing thing is? I made it into a chiyuv, but it was me that made it into a chiyuv. I brought Ma'ariv into being a chiyuv. Not that I was commanded to do Ma'ariv, but I made it into a chiyuv. Because I understand that this is what you want of me, to be a Jew that knows he can't live without the Geula, without asking for the Geula. Ach Yaakov Avinu, second paragraph, Nassim says, Ach Yaakov Avinu tzafa vera'a omek arikhat hagalut hamar hazeh. And Yaakov Avinu, he saw that thousands of years later, we would still be in a state of exile. Yes, without a country. Mashiach's not here yet. איך הסטרא אחרא ויצא הרע מתפשט מאוד מאוד בכלל ופרט. How, like Rabbi Shlomo would say, brother, other side, right? The sitra achra, ויצא הרע מתפשט מאוד, it's spreading everywhere, both בכלל בפרט. שזהו בחינת חשכת לילה. This is the bechina of the darkness of the night. As good as things are, there's still so much sinas chinam, there's so much hatred, there's so much miscommunication between parents and children, between rabbis and students, between different types of Jews. Yaakov Avinu saw all this. He says, this is one long night. It's one long dark, it's one long night. It's one long cheshchat laila. Vehu be'otzem kochot tiken shegam az, sorry, that should be a zayin, shegam az nochal להתפלל ולשוב אל השם. שזהו בחינת תפילת הערבית. Rav Nassim saying, there's so much darkness in the world. 6 million Jews were in gas chambers, and you and I still believe in the power of prayer. How could that be? Who opened the gate for that? That's Yaakov Avinu. Viefg'a במקום. He grabbed onto Hashem in the darkness that every Jew would ever experience and say, There's going to be times when the last thing in the world a Jew would feel inclined to do or have any ratzon to do is to call out to you. But Dafka Hashem, I'm preparing the path for them, that they can grab onto you at any given moment, especially when they least feel like it's possible to grab onto you. Rav Nosson is saying that's what Zeu Bechinas Tfilas Arvis. This is what Ma'ariv is all about. Aval Ra'a Sheme'otz, third paragraph. Aval Ra'a Sheme'otze Merirat Itpashtut Asitra Achra VaKlipot Al Kol Echad VeEchad אי אפשר לתקן, להטיל עליו חיוב, להתפלל אז. So Rav Nosson says, because times would be so gloomy, because times will be so dark, because we'll live in a mitziyut of running from Shiva house to Shiva house, of Jews being killed over the years, or of, not just that, machalot, of hastara shebetoch hastara, of so much confusion, of so much hiddenness, so much concealment. Therefore, Yaakov Avinu says, this thing I can't put as a chiyuv on people. I can't make them obligated, because you know what's going to happen to them? If they're stuck in their darkness, but they remember I have a chiyuv now to daven, you know, end up happening to them? They'll never daven. That'll probably evoke rebellion within a person that doesn't feel like they can talk to Hashem at that moment. But dafka, because it's not forced on you when you're stuck in a situation of cheshchat laila, of darkness, dafka, because you're not forced, you feel inclined and you feel that it's possible to call out to HaKadosh Baruch Hu. You see the difference? If it was obligated, if it was thrown onto us as a chiyuv, dafka, these moments of utmost pain and darkness, none of us would feel like we can have a connection to this kind of relationship with HaKadosh Baruch Hu. Meaning the ratzon to call out to Hashem has to be so non-commanded on me. It's got to be so much what I really want. It's got to come so much from my ratzon of ratzonot. And that's why Mariv and what it resembles in this world could not be commanded on someone. Ki az bivchinat tokef merirat cheshchat laila hu bivchinat he'eder adibur. When you're in such, listen, you know what speechless means? Does speechless mean that you have nothing to say? Afuch. When you're in so much pain or you're shocked by something and you're speechless, it's not that I can't think of any words, it's that no words, there's so much I could say, but nothing is coming to me. He'eder hadibur. I don't even have the words. People that are sometimes stuck in so much pain and you want to shake them, you like, say something. Those moments where they don't say anything are the scariest. They're stuck in some kind of a frenzy. It's some kind of a rut. It's some kind of a darkness. He's saying over here, that's what happens. So when a person is stuck and they can't just speak, you can't command them at that moment to start talking. Right? He didn't have anything to say. So he quotes you from Tehillim. Ne'elamti lo iftach pi. Ne'elamti comes from the word ilem. Ilem means mute. I can't open my mouth. B'fchinat ne'elamti dumiya hechsheti mitov. Sheze ne'emar al zman ha'galut. Galut, exile, is that I can't talk to you, Hashem. Geula is that I figure out how to speak to you again. That's redemption. That's third base on English. Galut is, even if I'm saying words, it's not me saying words. I'm just reading from a book. That's galut. But so he says over here, so how do we get out of galut before Beis HaMikdash is even brought down? Ad shelulei koach hatzadikim agdolim bechinat Yaakov. If it wasn't for the tzadikim that give us like what Yaakov gave us, כבר היו הכל מתייאשים לגמרי מלהתפלל ולשוב אז בהתפשטות תהומות רעים. If it wasn't for Yaakov Avinu, if it wasn't for tzadikim and tzadikot over the years and over the generations that made us feel that we can connect to what Rav Kook was talking about. What was Rav Kook speaking about? The language of Pgi'a? What word did he use for Pgi'a? The world of prophecy. They made us feel like, he said, without that, I would have never come to the conclusion that I can talk to Hashem. Obviously, for our generation, I mean, I don't know about you, but if you ever watch any Holocaust movie and then go daven mincha, it doesn't work so much. It doesn't really work. Even daven ma'ariv, it's not like, it's very hard to go from there to because it's a choshech. This is written before the 6 million, obviously. But you don't even have to go so far. Any family that's mamish in pain, that's suffering, you need to be a little bit of a prophet to start davening again. The tzaddikim, Yaakov Avinu, and he says all the tzaddikim in every generation believed in us that we can connect to the world of Nevuah and that we could start talking to Hashem once again. He's saying, if not, we would have given up Bichlal and davening a long time ago. Give up on davening, and then you came back. When you gave up on davening, you could have sworn you'll never daven again. Could have sworn to it. This person, if this doesn't work, I'm never davening again. And when you said it, you mamish meant it. Where do you come back? How do you come back to be able to daven to Hashem again? Yaakov Avinu set it up for us. Vayifg'a במקום. V'shavti b'shalom beit avi. I'm preparing the way for every Jew to be able to come back. V'shavti b'shalom beit avi, to start talking to you. To come back to the Beis HaMikdash and start talking to you. וזה תיקן יעקב אבינו שהוא בחינת כלל הצדיקים הגדולים, כי ממנו יצאו כולם. Yaakov Avinu, he established this. He is the tzaddik. Because from him, the 12 tribes came. שבעצם כוחו, תיקן תקנות נפלאות ונוראות מאוד, בעת שלן שם במקום ההוא. When Yaakov was lying in that place, wow, he paved the way for tremendous things to happen. וירד למקום שירד בעת שנתו, ומשם עלה למקום שעלה, עד שתיקן שאפילו בחשכת לילה ואפלה ממש, יתעורר האדם ברצונות חזקים, להתפלל ולשוב להשם יתברך, ולא יתייאש מן התפילה והצעקה לעולם. He's saying a beautiful thing. He said, Yaakov Avinu, when he lied down, it's interesting. Hashem tells him, Hamakom asher ata shochev alea, lecha etneno lezarecha. The place where you're lying down. Why does the Torah have to tell us place where you're lying down? What does lying down mean? It means the lowest place that man can be in this world. Lying down on the ground, physically. But nothing's saying, Yaakov Avinu was lying down on the ground. He was going as low as he physically could, thinking about any low any Jew would ever reach. And from that place went to the highest of the high. And the angels will go up and go down in that ladder. This is Yaakov Avinu preparing it for us. So that no Jew could ever have Yeush from davening ever. Al Ken, last paragraph of Reb Nassim. This is such a beautiful piece. Al Ken Yaakov Avinu be'otzem kocho, with his might, hichnis belev kol Yisrael. At sof hadorot ha'achronim ha'ele, shem ikvita de Mashiach, he put into the hearts of Am Yisrael until the end of these generations, the heel of Mashiach. Shegam ata bimrirut ha'galut, shehu bechinat tokef cheshchat laila, that right now, in the bitterness of galut, which is the tokef cheshchat laila, it's like the darkest time of the night. Yistakel kol echad al haemet la'amito. Each person must look at the truth of all truths. Ad shekol echad yitchazek mikol makom shehu birtzonot chazakim v'kisufim tovim laHashem yitbarach. That each person should strengthen themselves with strong will and desire to Hashem yitbarach. Leachnis b'Yisrael hitchazkut afilu b'ikvot Mashiach be'otzem yedatam. No matter how low I am, no matter how far I may be or how far in comparison to where previous generations were, no despondency. ויתחזקו ברצונות וכיסופים טובים עד שיתעוררו לזעוק ולהתפלל ולהתחנן לפני השם יתברך תמיד יהיה איך שיהיה. To strengthen ourselves with these good and strong longing until we all wake up to scream out and beg before Hashem Yitbarach, Yeh ech sheyeh, no matter what the mitziyut is. I think that an important imagery right now is that if you read the news or if you travel in different places in Eretz Yisrael, bichlal, all over the world. And you talk about different types of Jews. In the moment, it seems that there should be Yeush. I'm giving up on trying to make peace between you. It's just not worth it. Those that are supposed to represent God are the most anti-God, and those that look like they're anti-God, they actually sometimes look like they're really representing God. It's such a salad. It's so far. Especially those that are, so to speak, representing Am Yisrael in the world on a political spectrum. But somehow Yaakov Avinu says to me, even though I feel like it's not even worth davening for such things that seem impossible, I have to believe that tomorrow morning, Neture Karta and Shalom Achshav, which some say are the same thing, right? That's actually an insult to Shalom Achshav, I think, right? But that our brothers and sisters from every side of the spectrum will feel loved by everyone. That I have to believe that. I have to believe that. But where do I get the koach to believe that? I have to be in tune with prophecy. Meaning I have to be connected to what the world is going to look like with the third Beit HaMikdash. When is the time for me to jump from the mitziyut that's in front of me to a world that I hope to be? That's Mariv. You can't force me to be a visionary. You can't force me to be a prophet. But Ribbono Shel Olam, I can't live without becoming a visionary. So although you didn't mechayev me in Mariv lechatchila, I mechayev myself. Because I can't live without this type of feeling with me and you. That's how Reb Nassim, Lani Udati, is explaining what Yaakov Avinu paved for us, what he prepared for us. Why the Torah says he lied down. Why did it have to be at night? Why did it have to be in a dream, totally subconscious? Because there's no ptor. We have no ptor of believing that right now I can't scream out to you, HaKadosh Baruch Hu. En davar kaze. Like the Gemara says, "Afilu cherev chadam munachat al tzavaroch shel adam, al yimna atzmo min harachamim." Sharp knife is on your neck. Call us crazy. We still believe that right now in this moment, something can happen. We still believe that something can happen. But who's the Abba of this belief is Yaakov Avinu. So just to end off, I want to go back to the beginning of the Rashi. Vayifg'a b'makom, we said that Yaakov Avinu experienced kfitzat haderech. When? At the moment that he had this ratzon to go back and daven in Makom HaMikdash. The place where Avram davened, the place where the Akedah took place, the place where, according to Chazal, Yitzchak alach lasuach basadeh, this place, Har Moriah. And the second that he wanted to go back and daven there, it says, Kafza lo ha'aretz, he had kfitzat haderech. So, the Sfas Emes over here, he explains the kfitzat haderech in a very, very special way. He says, we're not going to go into it right now, he says, Mariv is when you experience a kfitzat haderech in your own life at night, in your darkness. When you have a spiritual kfitzat haderech, that's Mariv. Some people think that they're lunatics, that they themselves are crazy. Why? They could be in such a rut, such darkness, but something inside of them feels like, I gotta cry out to you. Now, where did they get the koach to cry out to Hashem in such darkness? Yaakov Avinu. But if you look at them, they look like they're meshuganas. A second before, they're crying, they're on the floor. They're completely in Yeush. And a second later, they feel so close to God, which means they believe that anything can happen to them. So the Sfas Emes says, that's what kfitzat haderech is. Kfitzat haderech isn't only when land jumps for you, like Eliezer going to Rivka. It says, Va'avo hayom el ha'ain. Rashi says, Mikan, shayom yatzati v'ayom bati. That he had kfitzat haderech when he was on his way to do a mitzvah. But when you allow yourself to believe that you can be in tune with the spirit of prophecy, basically, Sfas Emes says, you are experiencing kfitzat haderech. Now, we're living in an age where we saw kfitzat haderech happen in the most miraculous ways. I was watching a very famous piece on online. It must have been like 7-8 years ago. Alan Dershowitz was in some college, was in some university. Did any of you see this piece where he was challenged by
Oh, the Palestinian woman. Yeah,
So
San
he
Diego.
kept on saying, she kept on talking about the refugees and the problems, v'chule, and he kept on saying, get over it, build a state.
Don't blame me.
Just move on. You had, build something, right? Just don't be hung up on it. Just get over it. So then she says to him, would you also say get over the Holocaust? And you know what he said? He says, I'm not such a chassid of this, but this was a really important line. He said, we did. And I thought about that. I was like, that sounds like such a chutzpahdik statement, because how could you say someone got over the Holocaust? But in the context that we're speaking about, I understand what he was saying. What does it mean that we got over the Holocaust? Not that chas v'shalom. We're not letting Hashem off the hook. Because the Mashiach has to come. We can't continue like this for that much longer. But what does it mean we got over it? Because you had people fighting in 1947, 1948 that lost everyone. And that they themselves were in concentration camps for 5-6 years. That's not cheshchat laila. How could they believe that they could have beauty awaiting for them, destiny meeting them? Because they had money. What's that?
Our parents picked up the pieces and they started a new life.
But they had every legitimate reason to stay in cheshchat laila, in the darkness of the night. But they're in tune with what Rav Kook calls nishmat ha'umah, the soul of the nation. The guardians of Israel can't sleep, they can't rest, because they somehow, Yaakov Avinu, Vayifg'a b'makom, they knew that if they don't grab onto God, Vayifg'a b'makom, Gamarnu. There's no Eretz Yisrael, there's no Be'ezrat Hashem, third base of Midah. So I'm just saying that if those people, the initial chalutzim, or the Yidden that came off the boat, or even it didn't have to even be Jews that came off the boat from Europe. It could be Jews that were here that experienced 1929 and experienced all the pogroms that you could imagine. It doesn't matter. This is in our DNA. If we're sitting in Eretz Yisrael right now and we're learning Torah, it's because Hashem Yitbarach enabled Yaakov Avinu's energy to appear in people that could have given up completely, right? It should really infuse us with ridding ourselves of any form of yeush that we experience in our lives. Any form of despair that we experience. Because we're sitting on a land that came out of a tefillas ma'ariv. We're here, our existence here is because how Reb Nosson explained Yaakov Avinu and how Rav Kook and the Sfat Emet explained Kfitzot HaDerech, it really took place. People had massive Kfitzot HaDerech between 1945 and 1948. On a time and on a space level, that was probably the greatest Kfitzot HaDerech that ever existed in the world. We're here on that. That's what we're working on. That's the basis, that's the yesod. On that, the binyan is being built, hopefully, Be'ezrat Hashem. So, we're here tonight to strengthen ourselves and learning to Be'ezrat Hashem, bring down, hopefully, chen b'chesed v'rachamim on a certain woman. And in her schus, each of us should banish despair from our own lives. And no pressure, but if you didn't daven Maariv tonight, and you don't, you're a total apikoros. Sorry. But anyway, we should just be clear to ourselves, there's certain things Hashem is saying, I'm not going to command you to do this because it's really got to come from you. And the inyan of asking for Mashiach, asking for the Geulah, it'd be so shallow if Hashem said, okay, now you better ask me for this. He said, I've come to a place in my life, Maariv, Cheshchat Laila, I can't live without it. I'm begging you, Hashem. I'm making it a chiyuv on myself. Hashem should give us the wisdom to love each other way more, to seek for the commonalities, and even not the commonalities, but whatever it is, to go beyond the differences of kfitzat haderech with the way we think of people, the way that we our expectations of people. All these things should have kfitzot haderech, and we should be privileged to bring a lot of nachat ruach to Kadosh Baruch Hu. Thank you so much for coming. And like Yehuda said, please grab one of the brachas there, and it should be for the refuah of Daniela, bracha Zahava bas Pgi'a Leah. Okay, Yeshua Koach, everyone.
Rabbi Jonathan Sachs says something.